Spooky Tuesday.
You guys know how to pole vault! Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
And I'm Chelsea Duff.
And this week, we're going back to the start of the fucking 90s. 1990.
I was born.
Wow. The year that two important thing happened in that year. Sydney was born and the movie Tremors was released.
The movie Tremors was also born. Yeah.
Yeah.
The most important gift, the two greatest gifts to be given
Tremors,
to the world.
It, 1990.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Three.
Can't forget
it was a big
that
year.
one.
There was
Okay.
a lot going
Wow,
on.
so much happening. Busy. How did anybody get anything done?
Seriously, I don't know how anyone had any time for work when they were celebrating these majestic presences in the universe.
Momentous occasions. Yeah.
Truly, truly momentous. But yes, this week we are doing Tremors, which is a movie that is so stupid, but it is a movie that I love so much. It is so special to me. Because it's just the right amount of dumb, and it has Reba. Sorry, Kevin Bacon. It's not about you. It's about Reba. It's about Reba.
Here's the thing. The reason this movie is the greatest movie of all time, possibly, is because this is Reba's first acting gig. So without Tremors, we wouldn't have Reba the series.
A single mom who works too hard to love the kids and never stops with gentle hands in the heart of a fighter. Gentle hands? Is that what it is?
It is. Yeah, that's one of my Instagram captions.
I was like, it felt weird to say gentle hands, but
her hands are gentle. What can we say?
Her hands are gentle. I mean, if we're talking about Reba, she does have very gentle hands. I know that about her. I know that to be true.
Reba was ahead of the curve with the gentle parenting because gentle hands.
Incredible. She left behind the tropes that we spoke about when we talked about the black phone, where everybody was spanking the shit out of their kids. She has gentle hands.
Although you'd think they'd be calloused and hardworking with her two jobs, especially a cowgirl like her.
They could be calloused, but they could still have a gentle touch. It doesn't mean
that's true.
It's not talking about the softness.
Exclusive. You're so right. I apologize. I retract my previous
Reba's got range. Here,
that's true.
Let me just read you the description of this movie a la IMDb. Tremors is a 1990s film starring Reba McEntire.
Does it say that?
Documenting her journey as she becomes a giant worm that terrorizes a town of Perfection, Nevada. And eats everyone that she sees. No, that's not true. I made that up. It didn't sound like it was true. I said it. At first it sounded like it might have been true, but then I kind of lost the thread.
That description really said, if Reba came to you and was like, if I turn into a giant worm, would you still love me? And the answer is yes, of
anything
course, Reba.
For you, Reba.
If it's Reba, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. And if this movie was about Reba being a worm, yes, and also you, Sydney, I would still love you if you were a big worm. If this movie was about Reba turning into a worm, it would have won an Oscar. Just saying. Okay. All right. Anyway, here's the actual description.
Kafka's metamorphosis, but it's Reba turning into a giant sandworm.
Yeah, like fuck you, Jeff Goldblum with The Fly. It's about classic Reba literature. Turning into the giant worm. Okay. David Cronenberg, here's a little idea for you. You could still do this now. Reba is alive. She's hot. She's ready. Forget Crimes of the Future. Bring on. I don't even know what to call it.
Untitled Reba Worm Project.
No, it's called Would You Still Love Me If I Was a Worm?
Perfect. Wordy, but good. Okay, here's the actual description. Here we are. Natives of a small, isolated town defend themselves against strange underground creatures, which are killing them one by one. Very straightforward and accurate.
That's
Can't
such
say
an
that they're lying.
It's a super interesting description to me though, because it does kind of give a decent amount away in the sense that they wanted there to be a lot more mystery. Well, IMDb trivia tells me that they wanted there to be a lot more mystery in this movie, and they wanted it to seem like a human serial killer at first before they reveal the worm. And then they were like, no, we're going to advertise this as a monster movie. You guys got to get over it. And they went back and they like added in some of the early monster deaths, like the old guy on the farm who gets like sucked in and stuff like that. They added those in later to like sort of build suspense, but also be like, yeah, it's monsters. But like Edgar up the power pole thing, and the construction workers was like supposed to be super mysterious initially.
I think that marketing it as a monster movie was the way to go, but the thing is, it didn't fucking work. This movie, on the weekend that it came out, it came in 5th for the box office. So no hype on the first weekend, and then no hype came after that. But it really got its cult following when it went to VHS finally, and then everyone was like, yeah, big worm, Kevin Bacon, Reba,
Reba?
Yeah, this
Like,
was
even
when
though-
Kevin Bacon was like considering himself in his flop era for this movie.
Kevin Bacon's flop era. Okay, that's something that I wanted to bring up. I was talking to y'all about this briefly yesterday, but like, is Kevin Bacon hot in this or is he not hot in this? It's hard to say. Thoughts?
He is
I thought
trailer
he
park
was-
hot in this movie.
Yeah, he's
At
like
the beginning,
hot.
I was like not hot, and then I was like growing on me, and then thought very hot by the end. But it was a journey.
That's not
for
the
me.
impression I got from you yesterday. I thought you were like boo all around.
No. By the end, I was like, I like him now because I've gotten to know him. But he was a grower,
Mhm.
not a shower, in my opinion, for this one.
Personality wise.
Personality wise, well, just like the whole vibe. I was like, I don't know. I think he's one of those people who's he's hotter now that he's older. Just saying, good for him.
Here's the thing. I think I would have been into him in this movie, and I know his character would have been into me because he wanted a blonde with like big tits and an ass that wouldn't quit and green eyes and legs that can go all the way
And
up.
legs
And
all
this-
the way up.
That is me.
That is
Like,
so you.
I just want to say that this movie came out before that I was born, and
They
it manifested
you.
me.
Yeah. He was 100% manifesting in the car. That's exactly what he was doing when they were driving over to meet the new grad student.
Like,
Little did he
all
know.
the way up.
Yeah.
it wasn't Rhonda, but in fact,
It
later
was
that
Sidney
year,
Thompson.
I
Mhm.
would be born. And here we are now. It's full
Here
circle,
we are
baby.
today.
Little
That is
did
so
he know,
wonderful that
Valentine.
this movie made your life come into existence. You know, that's so wonderful. That's so
When did
beautiful.
this movie come out?
It came out in the winter of 1990. Actually, that's another reason why
Does
it
that
flopped
mean late
big
or
time.
early?
Because it is I don't know. It was sometime in the winter. Could have been December. Could have been January. Could have been February. A lot of options. A lot of options.
Okay, so this movie was released on January 19th. And since I'm an October
That is
baby,
approximately 9
I
months
was
before your birth.
conceived around Valentine's Day.
Did your parents watch this on VHS and then they're like, yeah.
Maybe
What
they were
happened?
only in the theaters. I mean, have you asked?
But here's
Text
the
Mark
thing.
right now.
Mark.
Did you see Tremors and were you inspired to go home and make a blonde baby who would grow up to be super hot?
Right. Where's my
That's
phone?
really beautiful. It's really beautiful, Sydney. I'm so happy to hear that.
Thank
I
you.
think one
That
of
timeline
the
really works
big
out.
one of the big marketing issues that they had here was that the poster says Kevin Bacon on it, but it should have said Reba McEntire. So that was the first issue. It should have just
Sure.
said Reba across the top. We didn't even need the last name. The other
Yeah.
issue that I have with the poster, just because I'm looking at it right now, I hate it when posters do this. That's not what the worm looks like. The
No.
worm doesn't
Mm.
look like that. The worm doesn't have a Tyrannosaurus Rex's teeth. It does not. doesn't even have teeth. It's got that weird beak, and then it's got snake tongues. It pisses
Well,
me off. It pisses me off.
the original design for the worm apparently was, I think, probably something a lot closer to this poster. And
But didn't it look too phallic? And so
yeah,
they were
it
like,
was
we can't
something
do
like it was gonna have like a hard exterior underground and then like come out slimy and soft at the top of it above
Dear
ground.
God.
And then people were making a lot of foreskin comparisons. And they said, we have to this is too silly. This is too silly of an idea. They had to go back to the
We
drawing
got to
board.
make this more serious right away.
Let's give it snake tongues instead. Yeah.
Okay, the snake tongues were good as like a narrative device too, because it made them all think that the worms were
was
way
just the snake
smaller
tongues.
at first. Yeah, which
Mhm.
I thought that was fun. And also, yeah, no, it's a clear reference to Alien, that's what it is. But okay, this movie.
Can we
at its
talk
core,
about
yes,
somebody
please.
who is, so we've talked about Reba, we've talked about Kevin Bacon, but I want to give a shine to Fred Ward, who plays Earl in this
Fred,
movie.
may he
And
rest
wanna
in
I really thought he
peace.
was gonna go.
But do you want to know what other famous Earl that this man has played?
No.
Earl Smooter in Sweet Home Alabama.
Oh,
Reese
Sweet
Witherspoon's
Home.
dad.
I thought that you're gonna say Earl
Goodbye.
in the music
Yeah.
video for "Goodbye Earl" by the
Mhm.
Chicks.
that's why I
And-
thought he was gonna
No.
die, because Earl had to die. You know what I mean? And
But
I
this
just
Earl
figured
is
of all
very
the
nice.
people.
I'm
This Earl is
also-
very nice, but the lyrics stance, Monica.
I know, but this
Also
came
very-
out before the lyric. You know what I mean? That is true.
Hmm.
It was before
Interesting
Earls went
point.
all wrong.
Interesting point.
I'm also very sexually attracted to Earl in this movie
He's
too.
so hot. And they
Also-
never really acknowledged how hot he was in context of the film. And I thought that was a mistake.
I thought it was a
also
mistake too,
love-
but Fred Ward just died like about a month and a half ago. And so like a lot of people were talking about this movie and his legacy. And like this movie fucking slaps. Like this is a cult classic. This is a B movie classic. So thank you, Fred Ward, because this is the movie that convinced Adam to start watching horror films. And that's because of you, Fred, and Reba, but we're talking about Fred right now. And
Mainly
so,
because of how hot Earl was, I assume.
no, yeah, it really was inspiring
I
to
could
Adam.
see
So
Earl,
pour one out
like,
for Fred Ward.
Adam's vibe too.
He's just here's the thing.
He's such
You
a
know
man.
who Fred Ward's vibe is perfect for? I mean, aka Earl Bassett, his character, Valentine McKee, because this is could very quickly be a beautiful love story between two men. And instead, this could be the Call Me by Your Name of 1990. But instead, they put in that fucking half-assed romance.
Rhonda.
Rhonda,
I
okay,
liked
like
the romance with Rhonda.
Well,
It
it wasn't
just-
supposed to be there originally.
yeah, it wasn't. That's why
And then
like
audience like wanted it, so they added it in.
yeah, like Valentine and Earl were supposed to drive off into the sunset together. Gay, like the way it should be.
Yes. Everything
then
between
they-
them was very gay. Yes.
But then they put in that make out with Rhonda at the end. I mean, I like him like becoming a person who doesn't. Sorry, Sydney, you are the perfect woman. But there are other brunettes in the world, and so I'm glad that
Here's
he
the thing.
was like, I'll broaden my type. Smart
the thing.
girls with curly hair are cool too.
Not everybody can have me. They can want me.
Not
but they
everybody can
can't
handle
have
it.
me, okay.
Mhm. There's
Yeah,
only
a
one
lot
of you to go around.
'Cause here's the
That's
thing:
true.
that hot to crazio ratio skill is a thing.
Hot to crazio ratio.
Chelsea, do you not know the hot to crazy ratio?
No, I know it because I watched How I Met Your Mother, but I don't know that I condone it.
I'm not.
I
like,
do think there's a lot more people are willing to put up with if you're super hot. That is true. That is true. Because who
This
doesn't love a hottie?
shit-eating grin on Sydney's face. If only you could see it.
And you can if you go to our social media.
Oh my god. Oh man. But I really love, like, even before this turns into a horror movie and it's just a comedy at the beginning. I really love the beginning of this movie because it just sets up like Valentine and Earl's like day-to-day life, that they're
Their
just like
life partnership.
they're life partners doing like shitty jobs in the middle of nowhere in this town called Perfection that literally only has 14 people. So they only
Me and
have
my
four.
13 friends.
Yeah,
Which I
straight
love.
up, they only have 12 people who can give them jobs, and that's like what they do is whatever for all these people, and they're fucking fed up. And I think they do a really good job of setting up their rapport right away. But I have to say that if I got covered in liquid shit from a septic tank, that would also be my breaking point. I
That'd
mean,
be
I just
game
want to put
over.
it out
Yeah.
there now,
Yeah.
you know?
I would be
Uh,
done.
but it's just so funny that like I just love the way the pacing, the comedic pacing in the beginning where like they just keep trying to get out and they keep hitting all these roadblocks and but they still keep just trying to get out and they still can't fucking get out and then the fucking road is closed. So they're really screwed. Um but they're such good boys still because like even though they're trying to change their whole lives, they're like, the old drunk guy is up on the phone pole. We can't really leave him there. And I respect them for that. They put their own things aside to help this poor man, but he's dead.
Will they stay for free beer and build a pottery studio? No, that's a big ask. But will they save a life? Absolutely.
Edgar.
I do think that I love an OT3 personally. And so I think there is room to go back to a little bit early. I think there's room for them to be life partners in a homosexual way and also for there to be Rhonda romance because I felt vibes for her and Earl as well. And I liked that he kept
Ooh.
being like, pardon my French around her. And then at the end, when she curses, she's like, pardon my French to him. Because they're like, they're disrupting gender norms a little bit. They're both trying to be polite around each other, not because of gender, because it is nice to be polite.
Yeah, I guess it's nice to be polite, but I like cursing most. I like that the
They
most
did curse,
used
and then they
phrase
just go,
in
"Excuse
this entire film is son of a bitch.
me."
That is the catchphrase.
This movie was supposed to be rated R, and then they dropped it down to PG-13 because they like took out a bunch of cursing. But
Which was really obvious when they said mother humper.
Humper. Yes.
Come on.
What?
Come
I
on.
totally missed that. That's so weird.
I had to do a double take, and it wasn't
I was
until
like-
the second time I watched it, I was like, what did they just say? Because the first time I
Mother
watched it,
humper.
I realized why I had to watch this movie 3 times. And the first time I was like, why can I not focus? Why am I not getting anything? I realized my subtitles were off. So
Oh, that'll do
focus on the
it.
movie. I was like, I don't know anything that's going on right now. Like, and then I rewatched it. I was like, there's a pole vaulting scene in this movie that I don't remember. Like,
The
It's
pole vaulting
best, actually.
is fantastic, but also it got shit on in this article I was reading by Collider. They're like, the whole like movie is wonderful except for the pole vaulting scene, and they don't say anything more about it. And I'm like,
why?
The
Pole
pole
vaulting
vaulting scene
scene
is
is
fun and
lovely.
original and unique and innovative. And
maybe they're
I'll
trying
stop
to
there.
say it
That's
didn't
enough.
make sense, but
No, it
maybe
made
that's
sense.
true. But I think it makes perfect sense. And I think it's
I
wonderful.
guess I don't see why the worm would not go for the bottom of the pole at all, but also,
They'd have to move really
presumably-
fast.
yeah. I think it makes sense and I think it's great. And fuck you, whoever disagrees.
I couldn't
You
agree
mother
more.
humper.
You mother humper. um, but yeah, I mean, this is really like an ensemble effort. I saw another thing referring to this movie as like the great, like the other great, like family horror movie besides Gremlins. And I was like, okay, I love putting it in the same category as Gremlins because it does have that same level of insanity or the same like vibe of insanity. I wouldn't say the same level of insanity. Gremlins is much more insane. especially
I would say this one is
Gremlins
more
2.
family friendly because the first Gremlins is like Santa Claus isn't real and my dad died in the chimney,
I agree.
which is
I
sad.
saw. I know. I agree that I think this one is definitely better, even though they say "son of a bitch" 3,000 times. Like, I'd rather that than being like, yeah, Santa's not real and Dad's dead. You know what I mean?
And I think this movie might technically have a higher body count than Gremlins, but I also feel so many people survived that it feels lower vibes wise.
Yeah, a lot of people survived, which is good, which is really, really good. We like it when people are alive, but I also love to see some cool
Deaths?
deaths. And we don't really get to
Well,
see a lot of deaths, but there are some really, really fun ones in this one. Like,
yeah.
I really loved the scene with the couple
Uh-huh.
who are out living their best life with their RV. And they get fucked over. I mean, I was really mad at the husband because I was like, if the generator sinketh intoeth the ground, like we just like that's not good. At the very best scenario, there's a sinkhole right there. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, or there's quicksand. I don't know if there can be quicksand in the desert. I'm not a quicksand expert, but I'm not gonna test fate. That shit's
Yeah.
terrifying.
I don't know enough about the desert to know that there's not quicksand. You know what I mean? Especially the doctor and his wife, they just moved there. Like, let's learn more. Not be so confident that we're experts in ecology or whatever. And it just felt so man of him to be like, no, I'm gonna stand right here and continue to think little thoughts in my head instead of getting to safety. He was so committed to having the answer that he forgot about self-preservation entirely.
He do be dying. I was really hoping for a scene, and I think this is a missed opportunity when someone was like sinking into the ground and they were trying to pull them out, and then like part of them came out of the ground because the rest of them been eaten. I think that would have been a fun and more horrifying thing for them to add. But I guess this was a family friendly monster movie.
Not super gory. That would have been fun though, for sure. That said, in that same scene, I loved watching the car sink underground with the wife in it.
Yes,
which is interesting
because she turned the fucking radio on by accident. Ah,
What
terrible.
song-
That was such a great scene.
Did you hear what song was playing when she was going down? Because
No, is it
IMDb trivia
Reba?
told me it was a Reba song, but it was definitely a Tanya Tucker song when I was watching. And then I checked the credits and it was also Tanya Tucker. And then I was like, I wonder
Oh,
if
someone
like for
lied.
rights wise at some point the song was swapped out once they like if the rights expired after 10 years or whatever. And it was, I don't know.
What if it had been fancy?
That would have
There's
absolutely
one last
that-
let me down.
it should have been fancy. That song
I said the wrong words, but
slaps.
pretend. That song slaps
the vibes
so
were
hard.
right.
But we knew that Reba could act because of that music video. We knew.
Is
We
her
knew.
one chance. Don't let her down. But apparently that scene, that the doctor's wife's death scene was supposed to be different originally, and it was going to be like longer, and she was supposed to like kick out the front windshield and like try and climb out to safety. But then they couldn't get like the sucky thing underneath the car to work right, and then eventually they were just like losing the light, and they had to go with what they had.
I think it was effective. I also
I
just
loved
really
it.
loved.
I loved seeing the spotlight in the night, and then it just like fade away from the
Yeah,
headlights pointing straight up.
And at that point, we hadn't seen the worm yet, right? So we didn't
think.
know like what its mouth be like and all that shit. So like I don't need to see it eating her. I like that you still don't know what it's gonna be like. But I loved so much when our boys Earl and Valentine got over there, and they're like digging up the sand, and the lights are still on underneath the sand. They see this like grill of a car.
Yeah,
I
great
loved
visual.
that. That was
because
such
they were like,
a
"Where
great
the
visual.
golden oldies come from?" Ugh,
Yeah, just the music
Very
playing out of the ground
creepy.
out of nowhere. Yeah, very very well
Yes.
done. There's some
Loved it.
effective scares in here. Not that I was scared watching this movie, but there's some like cool visual things that they did, even though it's a silly Billy movie.
The
Fred?
practical effects in this movie are incredible.
Yeah, they're really fun. I mean, they're not like the wormy tongues are not scary. They're silly, but I love them. I wonder who is the puppeteer who made that wormy tongue happen.
If not
was it
friend,
on wires?
then
Was there
why
an
friend
arm?
shape?
Was there an arm inside each of those tongues going like, like that's what I'm wondering. These are the questions that I have.
It's a good question. It's a valid question.
What did IMDb trivia say? Anything? No, nothing.
If it said something I sure didn't file it away as memorable. Let me
The
see if it's in my
wormy
notes.
tongues were actually Reba McEntire's arm.
I would believe that was her turning into a worm and being like, "Do you still love me?"
Reba played the worm, but her character does not turn into the worm. And that's why we were confused when we were introducing this last episode. Oh, man. So here's another thing that's going on in this movie. You know that little girl on the pogo stick? That's the little girl from Jurassic Park. I clocked it immediately. Adam was like,
Did
no
you?
way. Yeah, I saw her for 1 second and I was like, that looks like the girl from Jurassic Park. And Adam was like, Laura Dern. And I was like, baby, what is it with you and ages of
He's
anyone?
struggling.
I was like, Jurassic Park came out 3 years after this. Anyway, yeah,
Damn.
it's her. What's her name? Child
Ariana
Ariana
Richards.
Richards. Played
I did not
Mindy.
notice until I saw it on IMDb trivia, and then I was like, "Oh, cool." Mindy.
I recognized her little baby face. But it's a great ensemble cast too. I love all the family. All the family. I'm calling them the family. They're
Little
townspeople.
Melvin though.
Fuck that kid.
My enemy. Yeah.
Melvin is the worst.
Melvin is
He's
the
a
worst,
nightmare.
but is he like a well-known actor?
Why
He
do you
might
ask?
be. I don't know. I saw some call out to him in an article I read that was like, Melvin was blah, blah, blah. And I was like,
Oh.
I don't know. Oh, Bobby Jacoby. Lord knows. Not for me to know.
Let me see. Let me click on him.
Before
His
my
IMDb
time.
profile picture doesn't suggest. He was in the movie Pearl Harbor, but just as sunburnt sailor, and so that's not particularly inspiring. He's been in lots of stuff, it looks like. Oh, he was in an episode of Boy Meets World. Well, there you go.
Love
That's
that.
it. Oh my God. He was in, oh my God, you won't believe this. Tremors 3, Back to Perfection.
I
There's
didn't know
what,
there were so many
5
Tremor sequels.
Tremor movies?
Oh my God, babe.
And a
Yeah,
TV
there were
series?
4 sequels that all went straight to VHS. Excuse me. 3 sequels and 1 prequel. The 4th one is a prequel.
Oh.
I say
How
that like I've seen them.
interesting.
I haven't. And I
Wait,
won't.
so the 4th sequel, meaning Tremors 5, was a prequel.
I'm so sorry. The 4th movie is Tremors 4 is
Okay.
the prequel.
How interesting. And then Tremors 5, they were like, actually, let's go back to where we were before.
That's what it seems here. It seems
Love
like
that
yes,
creativity.
That's the case.
Love that willingness to bounce around the timeline.
They have great names too. If I can find them, I'll read them to you soon, but not at
Please.
this time because I have not found them at this
Okay.
time.
Tremors. Let me see how many are on Bobby Jacoby's page. Oh, he's just in 1 and 3, I think. Oh, but he was in the TV series.
I can't believe there was a TV series.
He was a good TV actor, it looks like. And so was Bert, Reba's husband in the movie. Apparently
He
he
looked
was
familiar.
the dad on the Michael J. Fox show Family Ties. I think. And that had like just finished filming right before he came over and did this movie. Unless I'm lying, and that's not true. Family Ties. No, it is. It's true.
Oh, here it
Michael
is.
Gross began filming only 1 day after shooting the very last episode of Family Ties.
Tremors 2, Aftershocks. Tremors 3, Back to Perfection. Tremors 5, Bloodlines. Tremors, A Cold Day in Hell. And then the direct-to-video prequel, Tremors 4, The Legend Begins.
Huh.
Wait,
This is,
Tremors 5, Bloodlines, and Tremors A Cold Day in Hell. So were there 6 movies? My God.
They're
Tremors
popping
is
over
a
there.
series
A
that
Cold Day
I'm
in
gonna
Hell.
get into. You know, like I want to watch the Halloween series and more of the Friday the 13th series.
Did you watch the Scream series? That was like somewhat recent on MTV.
I watched the first season.
I watched the first
Okay.
episode and I watched, well, I won't spoil it.
And you
Spoiler
went,
alert.
Bella Thorne.
Turn it
yeah.
off now. I watched Bella Thorne die. There you go. I did the spoiler alert so I could say that. And it was
Nice.
cathartic. I watched Bella Thorne die, and that was filmed in the house of one of our high school friends. And it was a very strange thing to watch. It was a very strange thing to watch. But yeah, I don't feel called to the television show, but I would watch Tremors A Cold Day in Hell because that just seems really dramatic. Is that like the winter in the desert? Is that why it's called that? I don't know. But there's something about the isolation of the movie too, because like it's this tiny, teeny tiny town. There's like 4 structures in the whole fucking town. There's 14 people, and there's one road that leads there. And then the fucking wormies cut the phone line somehow too. They don't do it on purpose. I don't think they're that smart. Maybe they do. I don't know. Maybe they're highly intelligent life forms. We don't get to meet them in any significant way. You know, we don't get to learn about wormy tech because in my mind they're aliens. I don't think that they are of planet Earth. What do you think?
They kind of like referenced alien-ish stuff at some point, I think.
Yeah, they do.
Which was curious to me. I think Rhonda also says they're like prehistoric. She made something about how they're like they didn't have the fossils, and so that means they're even older than the fossils. Although that didn't really make sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense. Because what she was saying, she was like hypothesizing, right? And she's like, well, like have they just been here for forever and we've somehow never found out about them? And if like even if they like predate the fossil record or whatever, like some of them are bound to have died, even if they've been around for 1 bajillion years. Like they can't be eternal. If they're eternal beings, we got a whole nother problem on our hands here, baby. You know? So I think that long ago an alien laid an egg in the desert. And then after 300 years, that alien egg became born. Wow, English. And then a beautiful wormy named Reba McEntire was born, and it had
Reba
3
1,
children.
Reba 2, Reba 3, and Reba 4.
And Reba 4.
Very George Foreman style, naming all the children Reba. Yeah.
Monica, if you don't name your future child Reba, I'm gonna
the first one's gonna be Reba
Will you
1.
do that?
Yeah,
Nice.
Reba,
I can't commit
1.
to that at this time, but I will consider it. I'll add it to my iPhone note that I've had since high school called baby names. One of the names on that list is Amidala. So obviously I'm not choosing names from that list, but I'll put Reba on it for you.
Okay, thank you.
Really should already be on there. Kind of fucked up that it's not.
I'm so sorry. It's filled up with other things like Persephone and Eurydice. I wish I was kidding. I really wish I was kidding.
I love your commitment to the old school classical names.
I'm committed to giving my kid a fucked up name.
And also a Star Wars name. Yeah.
I also have a baby notes name, but it's like human children and animal children. And Reba is on my animal children name list for
Why not your
pets.
human children name list?
Justify
I feel
yourself.
like
a boy named Reba. Actually,
you only want to have boys?
Well, I only like
girl names for boys, boy names for girls.
Yeah.
Love that. Reba's a great boy's name, I think.
She's just worried about
poll. Could Reba be a sexy boy's name?
She's just worried about naming her child Reba and setting them up for a life of being a single mom who works too hard, who loves her kids and never stops. You know, like it's a good life, but it's a difficult life, you know?
And here's the thing too. My dad is a ginger or was a ginger. He's had white hair since I hit puberty. And almost every single member of, so my mom's one of 5, and she was the only blonde one of the 5 siblings, and the other 4 had red hair. So there's a huge possibility that I could have a redheaded child named Reba.
Will you commit at this time to whichever baby pops out first with red hair, naming it Reba?
No, because I was born with red hair.
Sydney!
I was born with red hair, and it immediately turned blonde. So really,
I also was born with red hair and then had blonde hair.
Yeah. We can love Reba, but not set up our children to live in her shadow. You know what I mean?
I don't know what you mean.
If you love her so much, why won't you name your firstborn child Reba? Okay.
What if we all named our firstborn child Reba, and whoever in the order it goes Reba
Then we
1,
make them
2, and
fight.
3.
Oh God.
Should I ever have a child?
Have a
I'll take that
child.
into
I should
consideration.
not have a child because I just said we should name all of our
Make them
children Reba.
fight. That's what you said.
Fight. It's the margarita talking. I'm so sorry.
The Marga-REBA talking.
Oh no.
Wow.
This is a special
Suggesting
episode.
that
This is a
for
special
the
episode.
title of our episode,
The
Marga-REBA.
Sweet.
Reba McIntyre, contact us. We have a great bar name.
Reba, if you want what Jimmy Buffett has, get in touch.
Seriously, like Guy Fieri
Marga-REBA-ville.
Guy Fieri has 40,000 restaurants of different names, and none of those names are as good as Marga-REBA. Okay. Wasted away in Marga-REBA-ville. I would like that song if those were the words. Anyway, all right. What about this movie? There's other people in this movie. There's Walter.
Which one is
He is a
Walter
man.
again?
He's the guy who owns
general
the
store
store.
owner.
He owns the store, and he really, 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 really wants to name the worm a graboid, which is like a bad name. I'm so sorry. I love Walter. I love his vibe, but I don't like the name. Okay.
I think he successfully did it though, because on like
That's what they all
IMDb trivia
called
and
him.
stuff, that's how they're all referenced, the graboids.
Well, he's an influential man, and then also probably because he died. They're like,
As a
because he
tribute.
died, as a tribute to him, we'll name this worm this stupid fucking name.
His death was the most brutal, I think, because he was like actually a character that was part of the crew, as opposed to all of these like one-off outliers, and also because he got like eaten by the worm. That sucks.
Yeah. I feel
Although I
like
did like the Fred reveal when they pull off the hat and then his face is just like,
That was
that
a
was
great
great.
moment.
Sad to see all those sheepies go.
Yeah.
But
Also
great,
another great
ripped
moment.
into pieces. Yeah.
great
absolute
anticipation though,
carnage.
and anxiety where the sheepies are running all around the pen, and you're like, sheepies, relax, sheepies, relax. Well, they had great reason to be very upset. I would also say that I expected a lot more people to die. I did not care when it wasn't Bert. It wasn't Bert who died. Not Miguel. Miguel survived.
Nestor?
Nestor. I didn't care about him at all. Was he Melvin's dad?
I don't think we meet Melvin's parents, and I don't know where they are because
Does Melvin
this is
have
a very
parents?
small town. Yeah. But they are referenced purely through the population number of 14, which IMDb trivia suggests does not include the doctor and his wife, because they had just moved to town and were still building their home. And so they were probably not included in the census and the sign. And so those mystery 2 are presumably Melvin's parents. And somebody on IMDb trivia was like, they're probably, what did they say? They're like, they're in Vegas, which I think they're just making a guess. But it said, though they are never mentioned or appear, it is thought that Melvin's parents spend most of their time in Las Vegas and left him behind. And I wonder if there's more to that lore in the other movies.
You can't bring
Tremors
a
3
fucking
perhaps?
shit kid like that to Vegas. It will ruin your game. It's
Absolutely
bad
throw
luck.
up the vibes.
It
Yeah.
will ruin the vibe. You won't get into any clubs with a shit kid like Melvin.
Mhm.
So I get it. So I really get it. Yeah, I really missed the whole thing that the couple were like a doctor and his wife. I missed that completely. So I keep being like, who the fuck are you talking about? But I've got it. I've got it now. We're right there. I mean, we've talked about Reba. We're gonna keep talking about Reba, but let's talk about Reba's character, Heather, and her husband, Bert. And like, we are not a pro gun podcast necessarily, but
I'd
Speak for
Sydney pro
Reba is
yourself.
gun.
a
Yeah.
I just said as a podcast, okay? We haven't
As a
decided
person,
on
you
it.
do what you want, Sydney.
I know, as
Here's
a
the thing.
podcast.
But as a unit,
Y'all just aren't far left enough, quite frankly. Because you go
guys-
far left enough, you get your guns back, baby.
Oh my
sure,
god.
Sure.
But anyway, all's that to say, Heather and Bert have enough guns for the rest of us. And they have an
elephant gun.
elephant gun.
that
I
to
love
me
it.
I didn't like because that implies that you would shoot an elephant and nobody should.
Sometimes
Well,
you'll just shoot it for funsies.
worried. They were worried that an elephant that's a
They were
rogue
worried about
elephant
World
could
War
come up.
III is what they kept talking about.
Have you heard about that elephant who hated that lady and then he killed her and then he killed the town, you know? Like, what if they
Came back
accidentally
to her
pissed
funeral.
off an elephant and it came to spite them? Not to
Then
say
they
that the
deserve
elephant
what they
didn't
get.
have every right to do what it did, but like, you know, we also love Reba, you know? So it's a hard thing. It's a real toss up right there.
Reba would never betray an elephant.
Elephant versus Reba. What if there was a misunderstanding? Or what if the elephant only saw a redheaded woman from the back and thought that he'd found that same redheaded woman, but then he came upon Reba first when you want her to be prepared?
This is a moral quandary I'll have to consider at greater length later on.
I would rather her have a stun elephant gun, you know, because those for sure exist. No. But if they do, there's an option there. But it's just there's so
She
many
would
cute
sing and soothe the elephant, I think.
Oh, you're so right. The power of her voice is more powerful than any gun. You are so right. You're so right. How stupid could I be? She just turned around and she's like, I'm a single mom who works too hard. I love my kids and I never stop. And the elephant would be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. And it would never come to arms. Thank you, Chelsea, for that. That said, their name, the vanity plate that they have on their car is like Uzi Baby or something like that. What was it?
They love Lil Uzi.
Uzi. Yeah, Lil
Yeah,
Uzi
it
Vert.
was Lil Uzi Vert. So cute. It's so
Yeah,
cute
they,
that Lil Uzi Vert got his name from Tremors 1990.
Yes, that would be
Their
incredible.
name, Lil Uzi Vert, non-binary.
Ooh, non-binary
Lil Uzi
king.
Vert. Fuck yeah.
Non-binary royalty? What is?
Non-binary icon.
There we go.
Yeah. Damn. But yeah, Bert, we love Bert too. But it's hard to be Bert when Reba's right there. Like it's easy to forget about him, even though he's very funny. But let's get into the lore of this movie and the actual rules of the game, because I thought that was really fun too. I loved that, like, the first worm that they come across after the whole pole vaulting scene, because they pole vault. We've already been over it. They pole
I
vault.
love the pole vaulting scene.
I love that, like, early on they kill one of them. Like, usually I don't love a monster reveal, but I think that this one's so silly looking that it's very fun that we get to see the whole thing at the beginning, and then also come to the realization that, like, you thought that shit was hard. There's 3 more of them, baby, or 4 more of them. How many are there? 5?
Four total.
total.
So
4
they killed the
total.
first one, and then there's 3 more.
It's a lot. There's a lot. Also, as a California girly, we love the seismic readings. We love using earthquake tech to figure out that there's big wormies attacking the town. Very cute, very fun.
Rhonda's so smart.
She's so smart. And I used to have her same haircut, and so I respect her.
She's a cutie. I like her a lot.
Yeah, she's really cute. She's really cute. Like, it's like, I get what you're saying. The three OT3.
They're
is
a
a
great
great
team. The
alternative.
3 of them are on the poster. I just think like we could have something special here if more people would embrace an OT3.
I agree. I also like in this movie, I like that the worm can't see, and so the sound is such a thing. And Adam and I were talking about this when we were watching it this last time, and we're like, this movie paved the way for A Quiet Place and Bird Box. Okay, there could be no Quiet Place, there could be no Bird Box without Tremors. Okay, so think about that before you say anything ever again. Just
Okay.
in general.
Thinking.
Okay, good. Thank you. And also I don't know what else I was gonna say. Oh, I like that it learns and it adapts and it destroys the foundation of every home in this small town. Like it's too smart. That's why I know it's an alien. Okay.
It's
Yeah.
truly wild that it like waited for them and they had to like
That it dug
throw
a
the
trap.
shovel, right? Like, or
yes.
when they were on the rock and they were like, is it gone? And it was just like laying in wait. And they were like, that's why Edgar never came down.
So spooky scary.
Yeah, that was
What is
really
the
good
IQ
callback.
of this worm? How many brains does it have? Because don't earthworms have like a lot of brains? Or am I just making that up? Or is it's a lot of hearts?
Do they have that as well?
I think so.
I like don't know enough about
Google
worms, and
earthworm
I should.
bodies. Earthworm autopsy.
Worm
Earthworm anatomy.
Report back.
This is now a science podcast, and we're
It's
just gonna
always
tell
been
you.
a science podcast.
Yeah,
This
we're
is peer
women.
reviewed.
We're women in
Women in
STEM,
STEM.
okay?
Oh my god! Wait, I really want to know now. 5
your
hearts.
coming? That's
Earthworms
a lot.
either have 5 hearts or no heart at all.
Sad.
What animal has the weirdest heart? Atlas obscura. That is the article that came up. It's the
I love
worm.
Atlas Obscura.
Yeah, I love this.
Beautiful.
Earthworms can have 5, 10, or 0 hearts. So it really just depends. So do we think how many do these, if a teeny tiny little earthworm can have up to 10 hearts, how many do these giant worms have?
Well, each tongue has 10. How many tongues? Maybe at least 6 tongues. I can't do that kind of math right now. It's too much.
It felt like 3-ish tongues per graboid. I feel like maybe, right? It looked like 3 near the end. But maybe that was just those 3. And we know some of them lost their tongues.
Terrible. I hate to lose a tongue.
Sad for those graboids.
Sad for those
I'm
graboids.
embracing the term graboids personally. I don't mind it.
It's fine. I mean, like, I would have tried to like graboid is just, it has nothing to do with worm. You could have been like squirmy,
They grab ya.
squirmy, wormy, something with that wormian, like alien with worm. That's terrible. It's bad. I'm spitballing and they're all bad. So graboid is actually way better.
Is the only way to go.
I prefer squirmy wormy, but also it's just like a cute little diminutive to make them seem less scary.
What's the name of the worm in SpongeBob that also has the tongue that they think is the monster at first, but then it's just the tongue? Yeah.
They should have named it the Alaskan bullworm.
Haven't they seen
that
SpongeBob?
episode of SpongeBob a clear reference to Tremors?
I think it actually is. It definitely
Tremors
is.
had the gift of prophecy to predict that episode of SpongeBob, perhaps also.
I know that the people who wrote SpongeBob watched Tremors. That makes total sense to me.
It does. It 100%
It makes
does.
perfect sense. I actually met the guy who is SpongeBob's voice.
And Adam still hasn't watched the show to make up for that fact. That's so fucking
he was
rude
not
of
in the
him.
same class with me, so alas.
Adam now has my Paramount Plus login, so he can watch SpongeBob ad free, and I
Homework.
fully expect him to do it. So Adam, if you're listening, we're gonna bully you
Disrespectful if
until
he
you
doesn't.
watch SpongeBob.
I'll corner him.
At least the
Anyway.
Alaskan bullworm episode. For the sake of this podcast episode. For Reba.
Do it. If you won't do it for me, won't you do it for Reba? Oh man. Okay. All right. What else should we talk about here? There's a lot to discuss. I love the pogo stick scene. I love that
Mhm.
scene so much because, like, we love a girl with a hobby. I could never, it couldn't be me on a pogo stick. I'll tell you that right now. Don't have the center of balance, would die immediately. But let's talk about how mom was like, yeah, we're in here. We're talking about this worm that lives in the ground and it comes up and it eats everybody. But I have no idea where my child is. You know what I mean? I was
She's
like,
chilling.
Mom.
She's out and about.
I mean,
Melvin's
it's
like,
only
"Oh,
a
she's
town
fine."
of 14. How far can she go? What trouble can she really get into besides almost getting eaten? What
Turns out that
music?
was
the
pretty
biggest
compelling.
thing.
What?
Here's what I don't really understand though, and maybe it's because I'm no civil engineer, structural engineer. But how come it ran into that concrete ditch and went bonk and totally died, but then it can like rip through the foundations of a house and stuff like that?
I think like if it's like prepared to use its big noggin to do a big bonk, that's one thing.
If it
Like it's
braces
nudging
itself for
it.
impact.
Yeah, but I think it couldn't see. And it was also going really, really fast that other time. I was probably going full speed and like had no idea because it's the same color as the dirt or whatever that fancy word was that our girl Rhonda used to describe it. Um, that was a really funny part when she was like, "Oh, he moves very quickly through the insert
The
fancy word here."
topsoil or whatever it was.
She didn't even
Something
say topsoil. It was
soil.
way fancier than that. And I was like, "Girl, these people aren't going to know what you're talking about.
Oh
Come on."
yeah, she was being a grad school geologist. What did she say she is? Seismologist? I forget, but
Some
she knows.
combination of the
Not my
two.
business to know.
Yeah. But I love that part where like Kevin Bacon just like fucking yeets himself and saves them, and it pulls the pogo stick down into the ground and spits it back out again. It's amazing.
Uh-huh.
There's been all these references in the articles I read about how this movie is directly inspired by Jaws. And yeah, we planned that.
It's a clear reference.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
And
mean, it is really
actually-
interesting that we did this and Jaws considering what's up next on our docket, but no
That's like
spoilers
literally
just
exactly
yet.
what I was going to say. Like, this is actually all a through line to our next film that we will not reveal at this time, but you can
But
probably
wait, like,
guess.
yeah, wait like 20 minutes. We'll get there.
Yeah. Just hold on. But yeah, I loved all the scenes like with them up on the roof trying to escape. I also love that Melvin's a fucking little baby ass bitch and he's fucking with everyone, and then he gets almost got right then and there. So I was like, okay,
He would have
Melvin, now you
deserved
learn
it.
to not be a stupid little asshole.
No, he never learns.
Okay, that's true. But at least he got scared. I really thought that more people would die. I really kind of wanted
Yeah.
more people to die. Like, I don't want a child to die, but like Melvin could have died.
He could have gone. Maybe
His
he gets
mommy and
redeemed
daddy
in Tremors
Didn't
3.
even care about him, you know?
Do you think he does? Do you think he has a redemption arc and is actually helpful in Tremors 3? Actually,
I could literally never guess where the rest of these movies go. Like, I could never fucking guess where the rest of these movies go.
honestly shocked to see so many characters are still alive in so many of the sequels. You'd think at some point they would be like, they gotta get got. But this seems to be a franchise that loves to keep people alive, and honestly, that is kind of fun in its own way.
I want to talk about the cat and not like the adorable animal because there is no cats
Not like a little cutie.
in this.
I
thing.
was
I
like,
want to
there
talk
is a
about
kitty in this?
machinery. There's like
We love tractor trailers.
also one thing that
That's
do
my impression of somebody who
want
loves tractor trailers.
to mention like throughout this movie that I love is how Valentine and Earl like settle everything with rock paper scissors.
Yeah.
I really thought that there was going to be a running gig where he does paper to Earl scissors every single time, but it's
So
just
did
twice.
I.
It's just
So
twice.
Did I was like, Valentine, are you just gonna fuck this shit every time? But then he
You know that Brooklyn Nine-Nine joke where it's like, you always do scissors or whatever.
Yes. Oh, that's probably why I
was gonna
thought that.
Yeah. No, they changed it up exactly one time. Which is interesting to me that they kept it the same twice.
I
But
love that though, because I love settling major arguments with rock, paper, scissors, quite frankly. It's the only diplomatic way.
Ooh,
okay,
I
I'll
couldn't
rock,
agree
paper,
more.
scissors you for your child's name.
Okay. Wait, hold on.
Wait,
Do you do
shoot
rock,
or
paper,
no
scissors,
shoot?
shoot?
Yeah, I do shoot.
I do shoot. Okay, good.
Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Wait, no, we're
Your child is Reba now.
you were like
Dear God.
seconds behind me. Like there was such
Not
a
for me.
lag.
Maybe for you with the delay, but for me, we did it at exactly the same time.
Did we?
Monica?
Oh, no. Cheater.
Monica, weigh in.
It was
Monica-
delayed for me.
Who was delayed for you?
I don't care to comment on this. I cannot be involved in this.
Monica,
drama.
I'll rock, paper, scissors you to weigh in on this.
No. No. I abstain. I abstain. I cannot be rock, nor can I be scissors,
Okay,
nor
Cindy, I'll
can I
rock,
be
paper,
secret.
scissors you to see who's right.
Back to
No.
big machinery.
Back to the machines. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, the machine thing, I was like, what is going on?
I got that they were like these worms won't be able to destroy like a 30-ton thing of machine, but like they were able to destroy a house, you know, like
Uh-huh.
so like
Is a house 30
logistically
tons? I don't know.
what do we think how much do we think these worms can lift, you know, like if they were gym bros, what do you think their PR is?
I think it's maybe because the tires are like with the tread that goes all the way around the multiple, like a conveyor belt tire, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so if you're making one hole underneath it, it's just not going to sink it the same way because the weight is so distributed throughout the whole bottom of the
And that's why they
vehicle.
got absolutely rocked the second they stopped.
Yeah. Because then it could start to like zip away at it. And that's why the trench worked so well, because the second that the weight is like not evenly distributed in the front in particular, with the like the shovel part of it in the front, it's kind of front heavy, you know what I mean? But I'm also just a humble podcaster, so
Yeah, I have literally no clue. I have no idea.
We are
like
women in STEM,
snowshoes,
guys.
kind
We should be
of.
able to figure
It's-
this out.
I was like, sure, okay, they're using the cat. That, yes, okay, good.
And it like has this giant like bed that they're dragging along behind it. I don't know, it seemed like fine to me, except it does seem like the worms have some ability to go above ground, and I don't know why the tongues would not be able to like kind of make the leap from there. Do you know what I mean?
Movie magic. The
They
power
said,
of
this is
will.
how it works, believe us. And I went, okay, I didn't question it when I was watching the movie.
Sure.
They seem to know what they're talking about in regards to these worms.
They're like, you know what? They're on their way to save a single mom who works too hard.
Yeah.
Who loves her kids and never stops, and we can't get in between that,
My real question was like, how much gas is in this machine that seems to not get used very often? But then they were like, it's only 9 miles to the mountain. And I was like, 9 miles is not that far. That's probably not that much gas. So that's probably fine.
So, I have the memory of a fish, and
Uh-huh.
I watched this on Monday, and it is now Thursday. And so I don't remember how all the rest of the worms died.
Okay, so the one got
What
big
happened?
bonked. One gets bonked.
I remember the big bonk.
The second one, Bert and Heather, my girl Reba, basically shoot until it
death.
dies, especially getting it like in the throat with the elephant gun.
Great.
There's that one that they explode with the bomb by like going fishing. When they're
Yes,
out
the
in the rock
bombs.
after the cat gets sabotaged. Yeah. And then the last one, they try to do the bomb trick again, and it goes, "Hey, I learned from my friend's death, and I will avenge him." But then they do a little callback to the opening scene where Val made his little stampede joke to Earl, and he like sees the edge of the cliff and he's like, we could do this, I have an idea, it just came to me spontaneously this moment. And they like lure it to the edge basically, and then it bursts through the other side of the cliff and falls to its death.
And it explodes, and its blood is like orange, and it looks kind of like
they're also
vodka
gooey.
sauce.
Ew, don't say that because I like vodka sauce a lot.
I like vodka sauce too. I liked that. I was like, ooh, I love vodka sauce.
Speaking of
Gross.
orange
Gross.
worm blood, I love.
Speaking of orange worm blood,
Yeah.
I love the scene where like the construction workers are like jackhammering, and he like hits the worm, and like the worm like blood starts bubbling
the goo.
up. And then the jackhammer just like starts like being dragged across the desert.
Poor Carmine.
They do such a good intro to the worms. You know, like all of those early deaths, like they build suspense, they build whatever. You know, if it had been a legitimately scary horror movie, you know, they could have had some really fun ideas with it, but it's a horror comedy, so you're still laughing the whole time. That's my favorite
think monster
kind.
movies should be that scary. You know what I mean? I think monster movies should be a little fun and goofy.
I agree and I disagree. I think that if it's done really well, like Cloverfield, this will be 2 episodes in a row that I reference Cloverfield.
Look, like we
legitimately
say,
scary. This
Sure.
fall, we're gonna cover it anyway. We don't have to. If I get vetoed, I get vetoed. But anyway, we're talking about Tremors. I don't know. I think this movie is just a fucking ton of fun, and I guess that brings us to. I mean, do we have anything else we want to talk about before the segmentos?
The segmentos.
I think that while I was a little worried about Heather and Bert because they've got some vibes, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They sure do have some vibes, but ultimately it was about the strength of community and everybody coming and working together, which I thought was great because so often in horror movies we see how that like doesn't work for people, you know what I mean? And we've talked about that a lot. And the way that so often works against people in horror movies when they have an individualist mindset. I liked that while they initially had an individualist mindset and they were like, we're preppers and we're off grid and we're just doing us, that they were like, but we're part of the community and that's important and we're all sharesies and blah, blah. I liked that was what the movie was. I just wanted to say that.
Okay, but my vibe
started out. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I was going to say my vibe for Bert and Heather, though, are they like threesomes and they rotate.
Yeah, they're 100% your vibes. We noticed you from across the bar.
Yes. But they'll do like male, female, but they'll also do like male, female. Like they're not picky about who their third is.
I love that.
I feel like Reba would be the conductor.
Oh, Reba's in charge of the whole thing.
Participate as well, but yeah.
Reba's
if there was one person in charge directing, it would be Reba.
Yes.
Okay, so like hear me out, and this is a little bit of a stretch, but I feel like their vibe as a couple is like, I'm a single mom of many guns who works too hard, who loves her kids the many guns and never stops, but at the end they learn it takes a village. You know? I'm so sorry.
Really kind of forcing that one through. Their vibe as 2 separate people is one single mom.
I just want to bring up the song as much as possible.
The moment of silence.
With the gentle hands and the heart of a fighter.
Look, she deserves as many mentions as she gets. So,
I mean, in the end, she is a survivor. So,
she's a survivor, and she did, and I'm so glad she survived. Can you imagine if they killed Reba off?
If Reba died, I would die too. But anyway, I guess that brings us to our segments. Well, the first question that we always ask is, how could this movie be gayer? And the thing is, it was written to be a canonically gay film between Earl and Valentine, and they just ramshackled in our girl Rhonda's love story. But I respect Chelsea's OT3.
My pitch. Yeah.
I respect it and I like it because I like her a lot. Her character is
Mhm.
crucial to the whole story.
And honestly, I liked her chemistry with Earl more initially. They had to sell me on her with Val. But I feel like Earl really respected her from the get. And I liked that Earl was trying to wingman for Val. And I think
Yeah.
it can all be all of them together. And I think that is what it should be.
It's because Valentine's a boy and Rhonda's looking for a man, and Earl is that man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But sometimes you want a hot young thing, you know? So she gets both, and good for her.
She deserves it. She's smart and she knows about seismic activity. Somebody's got to. The big one's coming, honey.
I think the worms are non-binary icons, quite frankly.
Okay.
Ooh, okay. Very fair. I also think that there might be some sort of like polyamory between the worms.
Wow.
Mm.
Non-binary.
That's why they were so
quad pod.
determined to kill them after that first one got because they were avenging their. It's a polycule.
Ooh.
I think
Okay.
that was very apparent in the text. Yeah.
Yeah. It could also be like I love a little asexual reproduction for an alien, an underground species. You know what I mean? So it could also just be like polycule commune vibes in like that sense as well.
Ooh.
Where they're all life partners, but like, you know, they're also individuals and it's just that kind of relationship. So I could see them, whatever dynamics they choose, I think are queer.
Yes.
I agree.
for the
They're
worm.
also, we don't know how the tongues work and they could all be sentient themselves. So there's something to be
Mhm.
said there as well, you know?
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful species, okay?
And also, as
Really-
Sydney just discussed, Bert and Heather are out here having queer threesomes as well.
Exactly.
Can you have a straight threesome? Question. Something to think about.
Something to think about. I guess one person in the threesome
You could have
can
straight vibes in a threesome, but how heinous is that?
Bleh.
My brain was like, you're like, could you have a straight threesome? And I was like, yeah, if there are 3 girls. And then I was like, what?
That's as straight as it gets.
Please help me. Okay. Anyway, everything is going well. It's fine. We're moving on. Where would Matthew Lillard be in
Monaghan's
this film?
definition of straight from now on.
If there's 3 girls, 2 of them cancel each other out. You
I was
have
like, yeah, it's straightly not complicated because there's 3 women.
Okay, but Matthew Lillard, I hate to say this, but he could have been Melvin.
Yeah, he could have. He would have been funny as Melvin, you know?
He would have been a little old, but I could also buy Melvin as a 20-year-old slacker. You know what I mean? Like that vibe would work for him as well.
Right.
No one knows what Nestor, what was that his name? Nestor? Did I make that up?
No, that's
Yeah,
one
Nestor
knows
was
who
the
he-
guy who got pulled, who was
Yeah.
on the ceiling and the head
Nestor
got
could have been
swallowed.
any age. We didn't need him to be the age that he was. And I think that I wouldn't have forgotten that he existed if it had been Matthew Lillard playing him. So
Matthew Lillard, I think, also could have been one of the construction workers. Did you know that there were apparently an implied 2 construction workers in addition to the 2 that we saw that died?
no. Where?
Yeah, the IMDb body count for this movie is like there's an implied 2 more who like went out to check when they couldn't get in contact with those construction workers, and we see like their helmets. Those are supposed to be their helmet, unless somebody was lying on IMDb, which is also possible.
Oh.
But
I
yeah,
thought that was
there's
the
an
one
implied.
I thought
That's
that
what
was
I thought.
one of the 2.
I didn't question it, but seems
They're asking us for too much.
They're asking us to bring a lot of critical thinking to this movie, and for a giant worm movie, I just don't think that's on
For
the cards.
Tremors 1990, how dare you?
Mhm.
I certainly did not bring that much thought power to this viewing or this episode. So how dare they expect that from me?
It's a lot to ask. It's a lot to ask.
The next question is, who is the dumb bitch? And it's hard in this movie when everyone is innocent, including the wormies. They're
it's
just living
Melvin.
their
I mean,
lives.
Yeah, I
It's
think
Melvin.
Melvin is a good
It's
because
Melvin.
he's really boy who cried wolfing it. You know what I mean? And he's really lucky that they still come every single time.
Seriously. Like, why would they? Because he's like not even fun. And they're not his mommy and daddy.
I do want to give one anti-dumb bitch award to Bert because there was a piece of IMDb trivia that made me laugh about when they have to run from the cat to the boulders and Melvin's like, I'm not going out there. So Bert is like, take this gun. And then it's like an empty gun. But then when Melvin gives the gun back to him afterwards, apparently he like checks the chamber again or whatever. And so somebody on IMDb trivia was like, he's a responsible gun owner, always treating every gun like it's loaded, even when he knows it's not. And I was like, okay, points. Points for Bert.
Okay, that's fair.
Anti-dumb bitch. Yeah.
Anti-dumb bitch. I would say that he's anti-dumb bitch just for like not letting Melvin have a loaded firearm no matter how much danger he's in, because that kid's a fucking idiot.
That's also a compelling point.
Very fair. Yeah, Melvin dumb bitch for sure. Sorry, baby. Maybe you have redemption arc in Tremors 3.
Oh, the doctor could be a little bit of a nominee as well when he refuses to stop investigating the generator.
Yeah,
because that was
true.
a little avoidable, not super avoidable, because we saw the wife got anyway, even though she like ran to the car, but he didn't do himself favors. I thought she was very smart though, trying to give him the 2x4, which would also have helped to distribute his weight across the hole. But then it sure snapped right in half, so that was a bummer.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah, I agree with you, but also I'm like, your first thought when like, where's the generator? Isn't Big Wormy in the ground eating us
But
all?
when you see that the cord is like totally cut and frayed,
it was all the way down in the ground. Yeah,
right. I would have some questions that would not be answered by sticking around to find out.
Agree. Okay, but I think Melvin still takes the cake here.
Yeah,
Melvin.
That boy do be sucking. All right, that brings us to our knives out of fives. And so, as we said before, I know this had a bad initial reaction. So what did the critics say? What do we have?
It got a pretty good reception, actually.
Oh, good.
Yeah. On IMDb, it has a 7.1 out of 10. And then on Rotten Tomatoes, it has 87% fresh from critics and 75% fresh from audiences.
Awesome.
So, like, is it rave reviews? No, but it's like really pretty positive, generally speaking. And even Kevin Bacon came around on this. He said, while he was like pretty depressed around the time that the movie came out, and he was like really shitting on it for a long time, eventually he got around to it, and he says he doesn't usually watch his movies, but Tremor he's seen like a dozen times minimum. And he said he had the most fun filming it and was like always trying to recapture that vibe afterwards.
I mean,
he also finished filming on like the day that his first son was born. So that's kind of fun.
Damn. How old is he? He looks so young.
Kira Sedgwick husband age. I like him and Kira Sedgwick. I think they're a cute couple. I saw them on TikTok recently doing a little song.
Oh, I love that.
I love that for them. Yeah, I mean, I made sure I want us to do this movie because it is such a blast. I wish that I had given this more of a ritualistic viewing this week because I just had a lot going on. I wish I could have given it my full attention because I know it deserves it. So this time around, I didn't feel as strongly as I did in previous watchings, but I know how I felt the first time. You know what I mean? It's not a perfect movie, but it's easy to do the like horror comedy in a really fucking stupid way, you know, and it doesn't hit, and like it's too stupid and it's not that scary. This one's definitely not that scary. It's mostly just silly. Some would call it action more than they would call it, you know, horror. But like, I just think it's really sweet. I think that the comedy is really fun. I think it's a fucking baller cast. I think it's a really good idea. We love the idea of a land shark, which is what apparently they were thinking about calling this. That's terrible. Thank
Horrible
God
name.
they didn't. But yeah, I'm not gonna give it a 5 out of 5 because it's not perfect, but it's definitely a 4.8 for me. So
Ooh.
I respect this silly, fun. It is not perfect, but I'm so fucking glad it exists.
I'll give this a 4 out of 5 because this movie is always a fan favorite. Like, it's a classic. I, on my Be Real, posted that I was watching it, and like one of my friends were like, "Oh my God, I love that movie." And my boss was like, "It's one of my favorite movies to watch with my 4 young children." And over Christmas, I remembered I was staying with one of my best friends. We've been friends since we were like 12, and she has an 11-year-old. And we were like, what fun movie can we watch all together? And we were like, Tremors.
You ain't wrong.
And so it's just
Yeah.
like a fun movie that you can watch as a group, and every single person is going to have a great time. Like, nobody's going to say no to Tremors.
I had never seen it before, but I thought it was very fun and cute. And considering how many people make it to the end, I feel like it could have been one of those movies that they put on like at the dentist when you're a little kid so that you stay entertained. You know what I mean? And I think that would have good vibes. To me, that's like 4.5 knives out of fives. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a good time. I would watch it again for sure. Will I watch it again? That's a different question because I'm not really much of a rewatcher. But I thought like if there was a big movie screening in one of those outdoor movie nights or whatever,
Oh
and
my
you were
God,
like, let's
this at
go, I'd be like, hell
Synestia.
yeah. Imagine if they did one like out in the desert.
Ooh.
If they did like one in
So
Joshua
good.
Tree or something. They filmed this whole movie in Lone Pine, and I've been out to Lone Pine, and I've been to the Western Film History Museum in Lone Pine, and but I hadn't seen Tremors yet at the time, so perhaps there was mention I overlooked. But if they did a movie screening in Lone Pine out in the desert, I'd go.
I'd go with you. Road trip.
Road trip.
So that brings us to a close on Tremors, and thank you, Kevin Bacon. Does this get us any closer to that Kevin Bacon 6 degrees thing? No, probably not. Kevin Bacon, if you'd like to be our friend. Oh, also this is
Kevin
timely.
Bacon, come on the pod.
Kevin
Kevin
Bacon.
Bacon, bring Reba.
And
This is
Kira
also
Sedgwick.
timely that we're doing a Kevin Bacon movie right now because isn't he in They Them?
He is in They Them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
He sure
he's
is.
He's in They Them, and that movie just came out, and we want to see it, so we're excited about it. So they slash them. Excuse me. The whole point is the slash. That's the whole thing.
Oh,
where it's
is
clever.
it?
That's the whole thing. They slash them. It's supposed to be like slash, like slasher. They slash
That's
them.
funny. That's
Yeah,
funny.
it's funny. I
That's
know.
funny.
I need to watch it, but I don't have Peacock.
I do.
Slide
Suck
into our DMs and give me
Your
Peacock login.
login. Yeah.
Give me your login.
Slide
to
into your
Peacock.
DMs. Give me your credit card information. I'll
I
set up
would
an
never
account for us
ask for
to
your
share.
credit card information,
I
but I will
would.
ask for your
I will.
Peacock login.
If they want to give it, who am I to not ask for it?
I will always take your money, please.
We'll make it easier by giving like doing merch or something like that instead of just like straight out extortion or something. Anyway, moving on from Tremors
It's
and
not
they slash
extortion
them.
to ask politely.
That's fine. If you're giving it freely, then I guess it's up to you. But like, what a choice. Don't trust us.
I'm so trustworthy.
She says menacingly. Chelsea, do you want to introduce next week's movie?
No, Sydney's introducing next week's. Wait, no, I'm
No,
introducing.
you're
right.
introducing
For a
next week's
second,
movie.
I'm so sorry. You're right. My brain skipped to the one after that already, which is FD4. If you are following our Final Destination summer schedule,
You just
already
skipped
knew that
another one.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
my
2
god!
from now.
The way I was like, it's the end of August already.
Chelsea
It's
lives
sure
in
not.
the future. Like we're all
I
way
love to
behind
think
her.
ahead. Another Yep, another SpongeBob reference. Next week is not Final Destination Summer. It just was Final Destination Summer.
Literally last week.
Literally, I was so ready to continue. That's okay. Next week, what we're doing is a new release that we hinted at earlier. It came out pretty recently. Monica and I have seen it already. I'm so excited for Sydney to see it and to hear what she thinks, but it is Jordan Peele's Nope. It's a great in theater experience. Try and see it in theaters if you can, because I don't think it'll hit the same on a small screen.
Totally agree. Try to see it in the front row of the theater.
That's what we did. Very immersive experience.
I will not
really
be
felt like
doing
you were
that.
right there.
It
Sydney,
was fitting
come
for
on.
the film. If you've seen it, then you know. If you haven't seen it, then never mind. And go see it. But yeah, we had a blast. I've been seeing a lot of really positive reviews, but you know, I did talk to 2 people who didn't like it that much. So, you know, take your own opinion. Take your own opinion. Go see it. We're going to do Nope next week, but in between then and now, there's so much time for you to write us a haiku review.
Haiku review.
Haiku review. It just sounds really good. We have a little song for it now that you just heard. It's an original. We just wrote it ourselves. It's really
I
beautiful.
Forgot to
Also,
share the haiku review inspiration this past Tuesday. Somebody remind me the Tuesday that you're listening to this to post it on our stories, and I will.
I'll do my very darndest best. But yeah,
Or a
it's
listener,
great
should you feel so
opportunity.
compelled.
It's a great opportunity to write something short, something sweet, something with a certain amount of syllables, 575, about us, and then give us 5 stars. You know, there's a lot to be said about Kevin Bacon. There's a lot to be said about Fred Ward. You know, do a little tribute to him. You know, he deserves it. Think about it. And also, why not follow us on social media at spooky_Tuesday on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, at Spooky Tuesday Pod on Facebook and Tumblr, and at Spooky Tuesday on Letterboxd. And don't you forget about our beautiful YouTube video with Christian Brune. Man, it's great. And he's got a movie coming out soon. The trailer dropped. Can't remember the name of the movie right now, but he plays a wonderful part in it where he was almost killed by a bear. And you can hear about that in our episode with him from several months back. So wow, you got a lot of options. There's so much content, hours and hours of it. Subscribe, like and subscribe. Thanks for listening.
Bye, Spooky.
Well, I guess we don't get to make fun of Bert's lifestyle anymore, huh?
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Haidt, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamara Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Captain Tamara, and our podcast art is by Mary Murphy, who you can find on Instagram at the_moon_OMG.